Hi, welcome to the Denver Older Adult Resource Channel by Maintain Me. I'm Morgan. I'm the director at Maintain Me.
And hi, I'm Chelsea. I am the owner of Maintain Me. Today, we're actually going to be continuing on something that we had started a few weeks back about talking about the benefits of small assisted livings. And today we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk today about kind of the benefits of a larger community, because we know here at Maintain Me that there is not a one size fits all. And so we're going to give you both sides of it because we do know that some people do better in a larger community. And we're going to talk about 6 key points today as to what we think are the benefits for people who thrive in that setting. So the first one is activities. Activities are expected. It's actually a state regulation here in Colorado to have activities program in assisted livings, no matter the setting. However, because larger communities typically have different staffing, you will have a little bit more of a robust activities program because it has usually either an activities director, people maybe even available to run the activities more so than you would in a smaller. I'm not going to talk too much about small, but just for the sake of understanding the difference, because this isn't something that we really talked about in the other video. The smaller homes, they still have activities, it's just required, but the caregivers are typically responsible for that. And so if care starts to take, priority, you might lack a little bit on the activity side. And so what we see is somebody who's thriving and they're wanting those activities. That's the main reason that they're moving into a community setting, that a large community, if they can handle all the other things, is typically better for them as far as big versus small. So that is number one. Morgan, you want to take us into 2?
Yeah, definitely. Number 2, we see an advantage to having a second person fee. So what that means is if you have a couple, or if you have 2 individuals, siblings, friends, whatever, that want to live together in the same apartment, you don't pay 2 rents. You pay the rent for the apartment, and then there's a second person fee, which is usually a reduced portion of that rent. And that includes the meals, the activities we just talked about, and the utilities. So instead of having 2 people pay full price, you have a one rate, and then you can have a secondary reduced rate. And is there anything you want to add on that?
What do you think that second person fee typically ranges? I think it's important to understand. I know what it is up north here. What do you think in your area?
Anywhere from, if it's a bigger independent living, it's probably in the 700 to 600 range. 600 to 700, excuse me. If it's an assisted living, it's maybe more in the 800 and 900,000.
Okay. See, and then up north here, just because Morgan kind of helps with the south side of town and I help up here in the north, up here, we can get very quickly from 1,000 to 1,500 for that second person fee up here in assisted living. So definitely a big range depending on what it looks like. And then just like Morgan had said, that is a separate fee. So if a second person doesn't have any care, they can go in there at the discounted rate. However, if they do have care, they can still add care on top of that discounted second person rate. So that is a huge benefit for couples, things like that. So, okay, let's go into the third. Are you good? Is that all, Morgan, for that? Okay.
Yep.
The third one is obviously, and this is kind of a no-brainer, but it's just something that we feel like we have to talk about. It's a larger community. You're going to have more people to socialize with. You're going to have more opportunities to find those special close friends, people that might have common interests with you, because you do have this more robust activities and you have all these extra people. If you don't like, say, Betty down the hall, or, it's not that big of a deal because you like Sue and Nancy right across, whatever. So the good thing is that you are able to kind of sort through different people. It's hard making friends even at my age. And so, when we look at our older adults, like we know that that's something that's kind of nerve-wracking to begin with, not for everyone, but for some people. And so being able to have a lot of different people to kind of socialize with and find common interests is obviously a lot easier when you have more people to choose between. When you're in a smaller community, it could be 8 people, and if you don't like Betty, you might be sitting with Betty and you might be in the same living room pretty often. And that's not something that you can really avoid. Whereas in a larger community, there's a lot of little areas that you can go to where Betty might not be there. So definitely a lot of options for socializing and really cultivating just really nice relationships in our older years.
The only thing I will add to that, I was just thinking about it as you were saying this, for those that are not social, I think sometimes a bigger place can also offer more autonomy. You can be a fly on the wall if you want to, and join where you do and where you don't want to, and sort of keep private, maybe more so than in a smaller spot. So
that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Bill, thank you. Okay, well, great. Then now we'll move on to the fourth point is restaurant style dining. So most large communities have an actual dining room. It's not the kitchen of a home, it's a dining room. So you go, you sit down, oftentimes they'll come and take your order. It's not a buffet, so everybody lines up and puts the things on their plates. More often than not, you sit and you have a waiter come. I've seen it in some places where they get to know you and they know you like orange juice in the morning and they know where you like to sit. So you'll come down to your seat in the dining room and you already have your orange juice there. So, that's just one of the kind of nice things about being in a place where there are people around who are thinking about you. But restaurant style dining, ordering from a menu, having somebody come and clear your plate, bring your next course, and make sure your drink and your water is always filled up. So just a little different than a home cooked meal in a kitchen.
Yeah, the other thing too, I'll just add to that, because I have a couple that I'm working with right now and food is very important to them, but they also have some pretty specific diets. And so the good thing about having a larger kind of restaurant style is, even though they don't really accommodate necessarily to the diets, there's a lot more options on the menu. And so you can really pick through, and I'm starting to see some of the newer places have, salad bars and things like that you can kind of accommodate to different diets just by having a little bit more to choose from. So that's what we've been working through is kind of how do we make sure that they have a lot of options. They're not eating the same thing every day, that they have multiple things like the daily menu and the specials menu, and that they can choose different things every day if they'd like. So that's always a bonus for the couple I'm working with right now. So okay, going into number 5, and that is apartment style living. So this is a big one, and it's very black and white. And so it's really nice. Like if you're looking for apartment style living, the likeliness is you're going to have to lean towards a larger community. When we start getting into the smaller communities, you're going to have that bedroom like living. And when you start getting to that, and this kind of falls back into what you were talking about, Morgan, that you can really seclude yourself, or, maybe not seclude is the right word, but go into your own apartment and have that quiet time and alone time, and that intimate time with, your family and maybe your spouse, if your spouse is there with you, and that you can stay in there and feel like you are living your own life without all of the stuff around you, just as easy as you can get engaged. And so having that apartment style, we see anything from studios, 1 bedrooms, 1 bedrooms with dens, all the way to, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 2 bedrooms, 2 bath. And so depending on the different type, we have a lot more options as to, what kind of apartment and space do you really need? And if you're downsizing from a house, maybe you do need a 2 bedroom, 2 bath. And that would make you feel like you have enough space and you're not having such a dramatic change. Or maybe, you're like, gosh, I don't want any of that space, but you can still have options of going to a 1 bedroom or even less. So lots of different options for the apartment style living, just like if you were moving into a standalone apartment. So.
And just like that, if you're moving into a standalone apartment, obviously a bigger apartment's going to cost more.
Agreed. Yes.
That in mind.
Absolutely.
All right, the sixth and final thing that is a benefit of going to a larger community is if you are still driving, more often than not, there is parking. There's parking a lot of times in a garage, heated, so that's nice. There's also just street parking or in the parking lot, generally for free. Sometimes you can even rent a garage or rent a carport. So there's more parking options if you are moving into a community and you still drive.
Yeah, the other thing I've been seeing too is designated parking for, like, even if it's not covered or not that, if they, in a small place, it's all street parking if you're driving at all, but in a larger place, they might have the whole front row. Instead of it being handicapped necessarily, it's more like resident parking. And so just close up parking that you can kind of rely on so that you're not having to, make the long, especially in the snowy time, if you're not paying for a carport or for a garage, that you still have a designated close spot to the front that's going to be, reduce the risk of falls or just having to carry heavy things in and out from your apartment. So, okay. What was that?
Convenience.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the big thing about assisted livings, especially large ones, is oftentimes we will see that our seniors or our older adults are not necessarily needing to go into a large or into a community setting, but they want that. And so the people who are more independent usually are in the larger communities so that it is more convenient. Everything's on site. And the care's on site if they need it, they can age in place. We do see a little bit more independence in the larger spaces. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us. If you have any feedback for our videos, please feel free to comment down below. We also put our phone number, our email, and everything that you need to know about us down below if you would like to reach out. We also would love any comments about what you liked and didn't like about this video. We welcome them all. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time. Bye.
Bye.